All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to this session about sidewalk advocacy. So hello to all of you here in our home audience, or if you're watching virtually. My name is Laura Muzica. I serve as President and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life. We are America's largest sidewalk outreach organization. In short, we train, equip, and support people just like you who have a heart to go to the darkest place in their community, the local abortion facility, and offer loving, life-affirming alternatives to those going in. And as God's people really have stood up and shown up, as they have sought to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. In the 9 years that we've been on the sidewalk, we have now witnessed nearly 20,000 babies saved and mothers served. 85 eternal souls who have left the abortion business with the help and witness of a sidewalk advocate. And we just celebrated the closure of abortion facility number 31. So to God be the glory for that. Let's give God a hand on that, huh? Awesome. Today, you're going to get just about 30-minute primer on sidewalk outreach, but we make available to everyone interested a 5-hour comprehensive training so you can join an existing team. One of our nearest teams, for example, to this location is Granite City, Illinois. So you can partake of our 5-hour training after this if you get really excited and interested. Or you can start your own location at a facility that is not yet covered in abortion or abortion referral facility. As we get rolling today, I just want to share that as I was approaching this event, I was in prayer for all of you. One of the things that I'm trying to do better is really getting still with the Lord and really hearing on his behalf what it is that he wants to say to all of you uniquely. And what I felt when I was praying for this beautiful church is that so many of us, so many of you are looking for an opportunity to be the hands and feet of Christ to a world in need, to a culture that's hurting. Right? And there's no better mission field that we have in our backyards than the local abortion facility. Because women and men and families are walking in there asking some really pivotal questions. You know, who am I? Does God have a plan for my life? Does he know who this child is? Does he have a plan for this baby and for us together, right? And what we have a unique opportunity to do as Christians is to stand in the gap, to really let that woman in a world of turmoil and of crisis know that people care, to really bridge the gap between that present self that can't see a way forward and future self and show her the way to abundant life in Christ. That's really what it means to be a sidewalk advocate in today's day and age. So anyways, you know, I don't know if that speaks to you, but maybe take that with you and think about that, pray about that. It could be that God is calling you to get to the sidewalk. But either way, these are going to be tips and strategies, things that you'll learn today where you can help a friend or a family member or an acquaintance who is facing an unexpected pregnancy find hope and a way forward. So, all right, now a little bit more about me. I'm actually, in a nutshell, an attorney who ended up in grassroots pro-life work. That is a whole other presentation and story in and of itself, but I've been a trained sidewalk counselor, sidewalk advocate for more than 20 years. I used to serve on the 40 Days for Life national team as their campaign strategist. And so my job for over a couple of years was to advise the North American campaign spiritually, strategically, got the first blush at things legally, and then at one point saw a need and felt the call to start Sidewalk Advocates for Life. That, you know, we had been noticing that some people were finding some good sidewalk training, but then they were fizzling out because they didn't have infrastructure or support behind them. And we know that at the core of this it is a spiritual battle. And so, you know, people need someone to journey with, and we wanted to be there to journey with them until their abortion facility had shut down. And even then, most of our teams have gone on to the next nearest facility, right? So again, Sidewalk Advocates for Life, we've been around for about 9 years. We have about 235 teams at this point in our history. We are, of course, mostly in the United States. We have a team in Mexico, in Puerto Rico, and now in Colombia. So we're starting to spread internationally. We are community-based, meaning we do this together as a church, as a family, right? And we're cross-denominational. So we work with Protestants, Catholics, non-denominational. We basically say, you know, if you believe that Christ is Savior, it is by his grace that you get to heaven, and it's by his grace that this scourge on our nation is going to end, we will work with you. We run our program at both abortion and abortion referral facilities. And that's especially important to know here in the state of Missouri, because abortion, thanks be to God, is illegal here in Missouri. But the abortion industry is still very much on the ground in the form of these referral centers. And so there are these centers, these so-called family planning centers, that are working to get women across state lines, 300, 600 miles away. And you can be there still outside these facilities to stand in the gap and offer those loving, life-affirming alternatives. If you're interested in starting a location and actually managing a team yourself, if that's something that God is calling you to do, and I hope everyone will maybe consider that, if not joining their local team that may be right in their backyard. It's a simple application process, 5 minutes to fill out online, and then we do a brief phone consult. And then once approved, we ship you all of our training tools, and then we set up that support, right? So let's see here. A couple of other important things to know. A lot of people ask us, Lauren, what is your approach on the sidewalk? You can probably already tell from the way that I'm talking: peaceful, prayerful, loving, and law-abiding. We feel like we can't get very far with people unless we adhere to those virtues on the sidewalk. We've nicknamed our method the HEART method, or the 5-point method. It's a 5-step method, which I'll go over today. And what we uniquely offer to the world is that comprehensive 3-point training tools and support. And as people like you have said yes, again, thousands of babies have been saved, thousands of mothers have been served, dozens of eternal souls have left the abortion business, and facilities are closing. And we've done that all through the power of peace, prayer, and love, which is the best way to win at the abortion in the face of the abortion industry. We properly understand that this activity is not about being ugly or condemning. Again, the scriptures tell us it's the kindness of the Lord that leads one to repentance, right? It's so much more than don't have an abortion. Recognizing that we are sinners too. That maybe, I may not have an abortion in my past, but I am a human being that has fallen short of the glory of God. And I go out there as an imperfect person, just out of that love of what Christ has done for me, to reach out to another person who's struggling and wanting to really offer them a way to give them that abundant life that Christ has given me, right? And this is what love does, is we don't just tell people not to have an abortion, don't do this. It's so much less about what we're against than what we're for. And so when we're out there, we don't just say, don't have an abortion. We say, we care about you. We love you. We've got real help and hope for you today. And we're a gateway. This is so key. We're a gateway to the loving, life-affirming resources in our backyard. We partner with pregnancy resource centers, Christian pregnancy resource centers, where the body of Christ is, and they have an expertise in this. And, we do that handoff, and then we're able to see that new journey prospectively begin, right? But the other reason that we do this is because it's just very effective. Former abortion providers have told us that sidewalk advocacy, peaceful, prayerful sidewalk outreach, was the activity that most devastated their business. Former Planned Parenthood director Abby Johnson, who is now pro-life, one of the most sought after international pro-life speakers, says that at the last Planned Parenthood conference she went to before she came to our side of the fence, Planned Parenthood told her, so again, they didn't know the statistic was going to get out. They didn't know Abby was going to have a change of heart and become pro-life. They told her right before she left that when there's a peaceful, prayerful presence in front of their facilities, the cancellation rate can go as high as 75%. And she said that you will not always see that every single day in front of your face. That a lot of women will go in and they'll consider it, and then they'll just quietly leave. A lot of them we are able to confirm, right? But again, we know that we may not see every victory this side of heaven, but abortion providers, former abortion providers, are telling us that this is so incredibly effective. And then Abby's abortion worker ministry that she went on to form and lead after she left Planned Parenthood, and then there were none. They say that about half now of all the workers who are coming to them got information from someone on the sidewalk, eternal souls who want to leave the abortion business. So again, incredibly effective. Let me take you back just a little bit about how I even got into this, why someone may consider this, why this is, again, so effective. When I was in college, I still remember that the local interdenominational Brazos Valley Coalition for Life had gone to the area churches, and they invited us college students, to come pray 1 hour a week in front of that new Planned Parenthood abortion facility that had just gone up a year before I entered as a student at Texas A&M University. And so I thought, well, I could do that. I can go pray 1 hour a week for the mothers and the families who are going in. And then my sophomore year, I got asked to consider becoming a sidewalk counselor. And I remember what life was like on our side of the fence for a handful of years the first few years that I was there. There was someone who would, again, I'm just kind of painting the scene here, what we saw and how we eventually saw it change. But there was somebody who would dress up like the Grim Reaper. And he would pace up and down on the sidewalk in front of the abortion facilities of trying to shock people into maybe considering what it was that they were about to do, right? There was a man that would get a pole and stake it in the ground and raise the American flag as if to say, I cannot believe this is legal in our country. There was a woman who had like a 30 times life-size, what some refer to as an abortion victim photo, right? And it just, when you step back, and I can see this now, collectively, it kind of looked like a circus, right? Like, let's throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks and see if we can somehow reach the heart of a woman, right? But at the time, I was wondering, gosh, what is going to work here? And, we were struggling. I was a peaceful sidewalk counselor, but maybe by extension, I was put into doubt, because when a woman looked across that fence, it just looked like chaos and apprehension and even fear coming from our side. And then all of a sudden, this new thing called 40 Days for Life showed up in our community. So if you all are familiar with the 40 Days for Life phenomenon, this is a 40-day prayer campaign that was started in Bryan, College Station, Texas, at the home of Texas A&M University. And it was birthed by the Interdenominational Brazos Valley Coalition for Life. They had a prayer around an old wooden table for an hour, and they said, God, we don't know what to do to end abortion in our community, but you do. You do, Lord. So show us what we can do to affect change here, because we're getting the numbers back from the county health department and we're not seeing change. We're not seeing change, right? And so what they did is they got to put on their hearts with this idea of 40 Days for Life, that, if they brought this 40-day prayer vigil 24/7 in front of this abortion facility, just as we had seen throughout biblical history, periods of 40 days bring about transformation in his people, could we see transformation here in Aggie land? And so I still remember with my fellow students, going to the sidewalk and covering this abortion facility 24/7 in prayer, giving time when I could. And at the end of that 40 days campaign, we saw the abortion rate in our community drop by a whopping 28%. But what was key from a sidewalk outreach perspective was that women were suddenly coming to the fence to talk, because they had asked people to put away the interesting costumes and the angry signage and things like this. And they went out just as peaceful, loving, prayerful people. And women felt what? They felt safe coming to the fence to share their very personal and private and even painful stories, right? So I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing, right? And this phenomenon began to spread across the world, this prayer campaign. And that eventually also inspired me to start Sidewalk Advocates for Life and provide that kind of program for those who wanted to do sidewalk outreach. But again, the big shift here that we've seen in recent years, and I really believe that by God's grace, we've been kind of part of this messaging, is the idea that, we don't go to the sidewalk to protest, to be ugly. The first crisis is that a woman is ready to walk in there and take the life of her child because she's in a world of crisis and turmoil. And so we as a people of God have an opportunity to stand in that gap and to offer her what it is that she needs to fill that crisis. And her maternal instinct then is to turn back to herself and reconsider the life of her child. So we wanted to come alongside people just like you who have a heart to do this. So what we offer, it's listed here, I believe in your outline, comprehensive training, tools, and support. We offer a 5-hour basic training. You sign our Pledge of Integrity, you take hours on the sidewalk, boom, you're a sidewalk advocate. That's it. But if you want to go deeper, we have an advanced training. We even have Spanish training. We have ready-made tools. And then if you're assigned an advisor on the national team when you decide to lead, and we journey with you, we walk with you, we support you, right? Again, you guys have this handy dandy outline that you can keep with you. This is yours to keep today. And if you're watching from home, I believe that there's a file that you can download, but this is yours. But if you want to take our 5-hour training, you'll get a nice thick workbook and be able to kind of dive a little bit deeper on all of these things. But let me give you a little bit more of a basis here, a primer. So one of the biggest questions is, what is sidewalk advocacy? And this is how we define it. Sidewalk advocacy is crisis intervention in front of the abortion referral facility, encouraging a woman to choose life, empowering her to leave, and reaching out to all present to bring about a conversion of heart from a culture of death to a culture of life, thereby ending abortions. The idea is that we are doing crisis intervention. We are the paramedics arriving to the scene of the crisis, but our goal is to get her to the hospital, which by analogy is the pregnancy resource center, 99% of the time, right? So we're the paramedics. We want to get her to the hospital. We get her into the arms of the body of Christ, who's that expert in ongoing crisis management. And they are the jack of all trades. We need to know a good number of resources so that we can speak to those, in a sense, be that sales team for life out on the sidewalk, letting her know what we have available to her as a community. But then we want to hand them off to her and let them do what they do best. And these facilities, pregnancy resource centers, outnumber abortion facilities more than 4 to 1 in this country. And they are there to help women with groceries and rent and a place to live and insurance and you name it, and they can do it, right? So we want to get them into her arms. One of the most important things that we can remember as sidewalk advocates is that there is no perfect sidewalk advocate. There's no perfect sidewalk advocate. God will use your unique gifts and talents. So I have people that say to me all the time, Lauren, I'm not a super extrovert like you. I can't just walk up to someone and start a conversation, right? But I always say that you more kind of subdued or introverted types have something on me that you don't even realize, which is that you're good listeners. I know that when I'm out on the sidewalk, I have to pull myself back and not talk, right? So we all have strengths and weaknesses that we bring to the sidewalk. So whether you are an extrovert or introvert, woman or man, young, or you consider yourself to be old. And one of my favorite people to be out on the sidewalk with was Grandma Jackie. She was absolutely wonderful on the sidewalk. She was so great with all the women. They just loved Grandma Jackie. How could you run over Grandma Jackie, right? They ran over me all the time, but not Grandma Jackie, right? It just was beautiful to see God work through a variety of different personalities and people out on the sidewalk. If you have a heart for this, God can use that. At the end of the day, we remember that it doesn't depend on us. It doesn't depend on us. It depends on God and those who must respond to his grace. We're just out there offering, showing a way forward, but someone has to say yes to that. It's the freedom that God gives us, right? All right, there's 2 main goals when we're out on the sidewalk. Number 1, we're going to fill the needs that brought her to the abortion or abortion referral facility. So again, it may be finances, it may be a place to live, transportation, trying to work out school and career, right? So we're going to speak to how we can fill those needs. And again, because of the way she's made, she's then encouraged naturally to reconsider the life of her child. And then number 2 is to drive all business away from the abortion or abortion referral facility. So women may be entering an abortion facility, for example, for something that is not morally problematic, like a well woman exam. Well, we want women to get their well woman exams, right? But where's her money going? She's feeding the bottom line of the abortion industry. So we can let her know, hey, did you know Dr. Jones is doing them down the street for $25 cheaper? And she's like, wow, where is this? And so we've actually funneled thousands upon thousands of dollars away from the abortion industry simply by being the fairy godmother or godfather out there and offering all these wonderful free resources into a more life-affirming option. So good. All right, the compass. When you're out there, how do we guide a life-saving conversation? So the best way to put it is this way. We as a people of God, we as pro-lifers have things in the right order. God comes first. A mother puts her child before herself. So you might say it's God, baby, mom. The natural order is God, baby, mom. But a woman in crisis mode, a woman in self-preservation mode has all of that inverted. She's thinking about herself first, not even necessarily meaning to come off as selfish, but that's what happens when you're in crisis in self-preservation mode. You're thinking, I've got to get out of this situation. If I don't know how I'm going to put food on the table. I don't know where I'm going to live. She's pushing baby to the recesses of her mind because she can't even reconcile her life. She's pushing God even further away because if she stopped to think about what he might say about this, she might change her mind and that scares her, right? And so in the small amount of time that we have on the sidewalk, we're going to invert our thinking, not changing what we know, not leaving behind what we know to be true about life, about abortion, but meeting her where she's at, as Christ has met us in our great need, going in through her lens, her point of view, using language that she can understand. So we're going to start with mom first and say things like, we care about you, we love you, we've got real help for you today, speaking to her unique situation. Then we might go, how far along are you? Oh, did you know your little one is doing backflips in your womb, has brain waves, has a heartbeat, depending on where she is in fetal development, right? And then we might ask, do you have a faith? Do you pray? And reinforcing any good that we hear. At the end of the day, and I think this is a mistake that people on the sidewalk have made for years. They've gone out to the sidewalk and it's been baby, baby, baby. And what the research shows is that this beautiful body of research called right brain research that actually studied the best kind of messaging to a woman considering an abortion. It said that what happens in something called cognitive dissonance, that we're kind of shouting baby and she's in mom crisis mode and it doesn't compute. But if we start with her, then that's the key to unlocking the discussion about the baby and even faith, which is really interesting, right? Okay, what do we bring to the sidewalk? Materials. So the first is a professional and approachable appearance. So we love to throw on a safety reflector vest, especially if we're going to be inviting cars to pause on the public right of way and take information on their way in, or come talk to us at the fence. We're competing with multi-million-dollar Planned Parenthood in the abortion industry, so it really just makes sense. Literature, we love to, hand out a pamphlet or a gift bag to break the ice. And it tells her right away on the front of that pamphlet where she can go for help, where that next nearest pregnancy resource center is with all their free resources. We can have signage that emphasizes free pregnancy test and sonogram, maybe rather than making a political statement about abortion, which doesn't address her, situation, can we instead reorient our love and hope for the issue of life and for that mother who's right in front of us by offering those free resources and inviting her to consider right away, hey, what people are here that can really serve my situation. And then we carry fetal development models with us. When the conversation turns to baby, then we can bring that out and we can show her where her baby is in development and reinforce what we're talking about. Other things to bring to the sidewalk, this is common sense. Cell phone, pen, paper. We want somebody out there with us to be an eyewitness or to be a prayer support, right? Partner doesn't show up, stay in your car and pray for a little bit. Prayer is powerful, right? But as soon as your buddy gets there, then you can go to the sidewalk. We want to stay organized out there. It is really unnerving when you're fumbling for literature, you're not organized. Where did that pamphlet go? Where did my fetal model go, right? We want to stay organized out there, make sure we know where everything is. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. Do you know where to stand? Do you know where the private property of the facility starts and ends? We want to be law abiding because if we get hauled away to jail, then we're going to miss all the eternal souls who are about to cross our path, right? So we want to make sure to take an approach that's above reproach. Matthew 10:19 says, do not worry about how you are to speak or what you are to say. You will be given at that moment what you are to say, for it will not be you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. So beautiful thing to remember as we get ready to go into the 5-point method. Okay, so you have your compass, and this is kind of what we call the map, the 5-point method, step by step by step. So the compass gives you the general direction to go, mom, baby, God, and the map, rather, the 5-point method tells you turn left here, turn right here, right? So this is kind of more definitively how we guide and how we win and guide a life-saving conversation. So number 1, we're going to smile and greet in love. This is as simple as, hi there, my name is Lauren. I'm referring to our women's center down the road. Something very simple like that, right? I just kind of, position myself as an advocate for her, I'm referring to our women's center. I'm not Joe Blow off the street. I've got something of value to share with you. I'm smiling, right? I'm approachable. Second thing is give literature, or again, your gift bag, and explain the help. So, hi there, I'm Lauren. I'm referring to our women's center down the road. We've got free pregnancy test, free sonogram, free options counseling, saves you up to $275 today if you go with our services instead. Are you by chance in need of those services? And I'll tell you, this is so important that we offer the free help up front, because a lot of women are turning around right here on step 2. A lot of them are going, oh, where's this? And they don't even need to go into the abortion industry where they're going to get a sales pitch where 96% of all pregnant women who walk through the doors get an abortion. Is there an agenda there? It's interesting to think about, right? So I can offer her all those free pregnancy consultation services at the pregnancy center down the road and allow her to be in a life-affirming environment in front of a sonogram and holistic options counseling instead, right? Where she's going to be given truth about her child and her situation. So a lot of women will go, where is this? Oh, it's just down the road, or, John's right here and he can walk you right next door to our pregnancy center. And then you focus on the professional handoff. You can skip to step number 5. But some women will say, well, I'm thinking about things, or I've got an appointment. You can say that's okay. So you can ask a question, what is it that brings you here today, hon? We would love to help you. Is it finances? Is it family? How can we best help you? Something general you want to figure out maybe if you can once she's there. Step 4 is to solve the problem. So she says, we can't afford another baby. We are so stressed out right now. And you can say, well, if our women's center next door, we can help with rent, groceries, a place to live, whatever it is that you bring here today, we're here for you. You are not alone, reminding her that we have concrete ways to fill these very real needs that she has in her life. What is it? 20 minutes. Perfect. Okay. And the other thing is that someone may not tell you the exact reason that they're there. Sometimes women will say, well, it's just, one woman said to me on the sidewalk one morning, she said, it's just everything is wrong. She just felt like the whole world was crumbling around her in every area of her life. And I was able to tell her, I know you must be here because you're facing some real problems. But what I want you to know is that there's hope. I said, run from this place. This is where the problems compound. This is where the real pain starts. I said, but we can get you next door to our women's center, and whatever needs that you bring here today, we're happy to journey with you, to be there for you. You are not alone. And tears just welled up in her eyes, as they have now hundreds of times that have been out on the sidewalk in over 20 years. Just, speaking to the pain of abortion and then showing the hope. Sometimes we have to solve the problem generally if we can't solve it specifically, right? And then number 5 is empower her to leave. Would you give us a try? Can we get you next door? Betty's on duty. I know you're going to love her. I spend a lot of time in our pregnancy center. Oh, it's so amazing. I'd love for you to give us a chance. Or if you're at a referral facility, hey, before you drive 300 miles in the next couple of days, will you just try our services? So many lives have been saved, lives have been changed by just that simple offer of help. So, all right, so outreach to an abortion-minded woman as far as approaching the client in a car or on foot. This is really helpful. A lot of times you will be positioned at a driveway. You want to make sure the driveway is on public right-of-way, which 99% of the time it is. You want to make sure you know where that line is so you don't cross it, right? Abortion industry is just aching to call the police on you sometimes because you're hurting their business, even though you're just out there serving people and handing out free resources. But you may be on the cusp of that driveway, a car is pulling in, it's a big wave and a smile, and it's a roll down your window sign. Now, nobody has the 80s and 90s cars where you've got a crank and actually roll down the window. But for some reason, millennial and Gen Z clients understand. I don't know why. And so it doesn't work to go, hey, push the button. Can you just push the button, right? But if you do this, they know what you're talking about. And you can just start talking very confidently. Hi there, I'm Lauren. I'm referring to our women's center down the road. We've got free pregnancy test, free sonogram, right? So you're just kind of walking through that normal opening address. And then on the sidewalk, somebody might be walking from way down the block. You're going to kind of start to saunter towards them with a smile on your face, look around for a second and then, oh, hi, you got your literature, your gift bag in hand. But again, no matter what, use this advice insofar as you can be peaceful, prayerful, and law abiding. Now, one admonition, because sometimes this happens, especially with new sidewalk advocates, people will make this incredible offer of help. And the woman will say, okay, I want to go in and hear what they have to say still. And you go, oh, and you start to lose it and you get anxious and you're kind of pulling at them. Oh, please don't go in there. And, starting to lose that peaceful, welcoming demeanor, right? And what's so important to remember, famous sidewalk counseling priest Monsignor Riley says that over half of the women that ended up choosing life with him on the sidewalk were women that heard that offer of hope and help. Initially had to go in and experience the darkness of the facility, felt that contrast between light and dark, and wanted to be back out on the sidewalk with him. Isn't that powerful? And I would say about a third of the time, that's been the case for me as well. So we never freak out when somebody goes in. We remain in a state of prayer. Prayer is powerful. Prayer changes things, right? So, All right, outreach to companions, same 5-point method. You know, the gal goes in there, maybe she makes a beeline for the facility, and boyfriend will come out on the porch smoking a cigarette. Sister will come outside and she's playing on her phone, right? We say, hey there, I'm Lauren. I'm with our Women's Center down the road, right? So we just kind of reorient that 5-point method to that person in front of us. You know, how far along is she? Oh, does she know about all of our free resources? We'd love to help you guys out, right? So we're just kind of making it pertinent to the person who's in front of us. Now, you may be out on the sidewalk and facing some really interesting and novel situations, rape and incest, health and life of the mother, prenatal diagnosis and such, right? What's important to remember is that there's a life-affirming option in each one of these precarious cases. With rape and incest, again, we want to, you know, have a moment where we let that woman know, we are so sorry for what you've been through. We're so sorry, but we want to save you from further pain. What the studies show is that abortion in this case tends to compound her pain. It extends her trauma. And so we can let her know that now she can be in the driver's seat. She can make a choice to give her baby life. And in fact, the studies show that the vast majority of women who go through a rape experience end up parenting. But adoption can be an option in this case as well, right? Health and life of the mother, we never need to directly kill a child to save the life of a mother. We may have to induce early delivery, separate mother and child, right? It's kind of that principle of double effect. Sometimes we go in to make an action and there's an unintended side effect. So we may have to, you know, mom's got skyrocketing preeclampsia at 21 weeks at the cusp of viability. We may have to separate mother and child. And the inadvertent side effect is that that child may not live, even though we hope for that, right? And so the idea is we treat both as patients and we seek to service her situation as we can. I believe she's a member of your church, Dr. Donna Harrison, who I believe recently retired as the head of Apolog, which is the pro-life OB-GYN association, right? Dr. Donna Harrison is a great witness. She's got a lot of writing and literature out on this topic, and I think you'll be well served by reading any of the things that she's written. Prenatal diagnosis, we can let parents know again that we are so sorry for their grief at receiving news that something's not developing well with baby. But when we offer resources in this case to carry to term and for a family to welcome their child and treasure that time, the gift of time with their child, 8 out of 10 parents will receive those resources and choose life in that situation. We've got a couple of great groups, Prenatal Partners for Life, Be Not Afraid. These are groups that will assign a family, a peer couple that's walked that same journey, and they'll be able to welcome their child peacefully and celebrate the life that child has for as long as they have it, right? Multiple day procedure. We wanted to put this in here because we can actually, in the middle of an abortion procedure, prospectively reverse that procedure. So abortionpillreversal.com is going to be one of your favorite websites, especially now that chemical abortion, the 2-pill chemical abortion procedure, is the most prevalent form of abortion in the United States today. So a woman, when she takes the first pill, she has the option to get on a progesterone regimen to counteract the effects of the first pill, which is to block progesterone and starve that baby, right? Starve that pregnancy. So we tell her, don't take the second pill. If you're open to reversing it, we can get you to the hotline, abortionpillreversal.com, and we can start you on that remedy and prospectively save your pregnancy and the life of the child. Hostile clients, again, you'll get people out there who are just really angry. You represent what they don't want to face. And we don't throw fire on fire, right? We just remind them that we're there if they want to talk and that we're going to be in prayer for them. And I've been able to re-engage clients after they initially yelled at me or were ugly to me, right? So we just look for, again, as the scriptures say, every opportunity in the spirit. Non-abortion clients, again, the main message here is, where is your money going? Pregnancy test, well woman exam, things that aren't morally problematic, we can refer elsewhere. You know, where we may be dealing with an abortifacient drug like Plan B or certain types of birth control, for example, we can let them know how these drugs and devices could cause an early abortion, and that there are, you know, healthy ways to plan one's family if they happen to be married. Of course, 99% of the time we're dealing with somebody who is not married. And so we can plant seeds for sexual integrity, which may feel like a tough sell on the sidewalk. Abstinence feels like a tough sell, right? But I've said to people out on the sidewalk, you are beautiful. You are a treasure. You are prized to be won. We can wait for you. Get into a good church community and let the Lord journey with you and give you that strength, right? And then last couple of things here, we're not just there for people who are walking into the facility. We are there when they're coming out to be the first sign of God's mercy. If they don't choose life, we can give them information on supportafterabortion.com, one of our dearest partners, and we can get them onto the road of hope and healing, and that can often prevent future abortions. And then the last part here is the workers. When we're not reaching out to clients, we're reaching out to the workers, we're letting them know about abortionworker.com, and then there were non-abortion worker ministry and all the wonderful resources that they have to help them to transition out of the industry. What a lot of people don't realize is that workers often have one or multiple abortions in their past, and it really is a trauma response that keeps them in the abortion industry. And so we can reach out to these eternal souls and let them know that there is abundant life waiting for them in Christ when you're ready. Again, if you remember nothing else I say today, remember this: mom, baby, God, right? Start with her, then bring in information about the child, and then God. Again, we would love for it to be the opposite way. We want to start with God, then go to the baby, right? But if we're going to reach these hurting women and these families, we have to think like they're thinking and run to meet them where they're at, just as Christ has met us in our great need. So again, let us know how we can serve you. Start, join, give, right? You can start a location, join an existing, or become a ministry partner with us. There's different ways you can connect online with us, whether it be social media or a listserv. We've also got a national conference every October. Don't ask me how we got this URL. It's prolifeconference.com. We actually won the URL, prolifeconference.com. Really easy to remember. We're going to have a great slate of speakers. And the theme this year is the sidewalk is everywhere. Isn't that true? Like, we need to know these things in today's culture, in today's day and age, to be the hands and feet of Jesus. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. And let's go ahead and take a couple of questions. I think we've got a couple minutes, right? Great. Okay. Nate, you want to come up here? I'm going to introduce our Vice President, Nate, who's with me. I came in from Texas today. Nate came in from the great state of Florida. The promised land, almost the promised land. So
he likes to say that. He likes to think Texas.
Every Texan thinks Texas is the promised land, right? So, okay. Do we have any questions in the audience here first, and then we can go online? I know that was a lot of information. I kept moving because I literally gave you our workbook in like 35 minutes. But again, you can go so much deeper. And the beautiful thing is that when you go through the 5-hour training, we do dive a little bit deeper, and then we sit with it a little bit longer, right? And unpack it a little bit more. So
the PowerPoint presentation was uploaded as an attachment to the session.
okay,
So,
great.
yeah, and in-person attendees can view it on the app.
Oh, great. Okay. So we didn't have it up here on the screen, but you can go to the app and cycle through it. And then of course you've got this handy dandy written outline too. So.
And that's online as well.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Anybody? You're just sidewalk advocacy experts now, right? Like, no questions?
How many people do you encounter, say, in an average day?
Oh, it depends on the abortion facility, right? Do you want to?
Yeah, it depends. I mean,
there's one in Houston, Texas, where we would regularly see up to 100 women a day. A very popular abortion facility in inner city Houston. And I still remember I was at the pro-life women's conference the weekend that the Dobbs decision was handed down overturning Roe. And I got a picture from our Houston leader that said, because of the Supreme Court decision, Houston Women's Clinic is closed. And it was an empty parking lot. It was the only time I'd ever seen it empty. And I just thought, wow, like, who was saved from this trauma today? Which lives were saved, you know, like, oh, it was such a moment, because it breaks your heart. And it's mostly African-American women that were walking in there. I rarely saw a white woman walking in there. And that grieved my heart too, you know, because a lot of times Planned Parenthood is strategically placing their facilities in minority neighborhoods. This has been proven, right? So yeah, it really is an act of genocide. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
In Carbondale, in Southern Illinois, their city council set up a buffer zone.
Right.
Do you see that this is going to be happening?
Yes, in jurisdictions, I mean, the good news is that the Supreme Court handed down a decision a handful of years ago called McCullen versus Coakley. And what it did is it invalidated I believe, a 35-foot Massachusetts buffer zone. So they basically said that buffer zone went too far. You need to chisel it back to about this much, which I believe now is like 15 feet or something like that. I would say the Carbondale buffer zone, as far as I know, has gone way past that threshold. I'm hopeful that that's going to be struck down. But the thing is if you get even a small buffer zone well placed at a facility, it can push you into the street. You can't stand in the street, so now you're standing on the other side of the road, right? So these buffer zones can be a real pain. And so what you have to do almost is do your best to work around them. Is you have to, of course, stand outside of them to be law abiding, because again, you don't do anybody any good if you're breaking the law, right? Because we want to be there for everyone that we possibly can. But if you get pushed back far enough, you just have to get creative with looking at where in the sense, the new entry and exit point is. And so fight them when they happen, because there's a really good chance that a city council didn't do their homework and it doesn't comport with McCullen versus Coakley. Couple of the legal organizations we work with that challenge those buffer zones would be Thomas More Society out of Chicago, or Alliance Defending Freedom out of Arizona and Washington, D.C. Life Legal Defense in California has also taken up some of those. So we've got some really smart people on our side that are working to challenge a lot of those. But they're pains in the rear while you're dealing with them, because you would love to be able to walk, right up to the gate, to the front door, if the public right of way allows that. I think from a legal perspective, my opinion is that that's viewpoint discrimination. Where else do we look at a form of free speech and push people back from an entrance for a certain number of feet and say, this is where you can express yourself, right? We already have civil and criminal laws that protect people from inappropriate behavior. There's no need for a buffer zone. So.
We have one question.
Yeah.
The best way to reach women considering non-surgical abortion.
Chemical abortion. Yeah. So this is now the most prevalent form of abortion pill reversal. You want to carry that information with you. And this is something that we've even talked about on our national team, that sometimes when a woman has taken the first pill in clinic, a lot of times they send her home with a paper bag. You'll see her walk out with a brown paper bag, and it's the second pill, and it expels the contents of the uterus, so to speak. Right. And so we want to let her know that there's an opportunity prospectively still to, that's not too late. And so we can just slip her abortion pill reversal information. Some people just jump right into handing her post-abortion healing information. I really want to encourage you to hold off on that. And look at this again as a window of time that if we can get her on a progesterone regimen, we can counteract the effects of that first pill and prospectively save the life of her child.
yeah, I think the great thing about that is that now there's been around or just over 4,000 babies that have been born after the abortion pill reversal process has been started. So again, that strong progesterone regimen to help reverse the effects of that first pill really do work. Obviously the abortion industry tries to say it's junk science, it doesn't work, but it does. And we see, many of those stories now. So I think the other thing about reaching women who are seeking chemical abortion is finding unique ways to reach them away from abortion and abortion referral facilities, right? So we've talked about billboard campaigns in local communities, pointing her to resources, also making sure that you have information available about the dangers of chemical abortion on college campuses and other places where women might be seeking information. When you can catch women away from abortion and abortion referral facilities, we always want to do that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now that women are ordering these through the mail. We're actually getting ready to train a group of online sidewalk advocates that will go into chat rooms and meet women in babycenter.com and all of that, and reach women with news of abortion pill reversal. So
We have about 1 minute.
What about the proposed mobile units? Certainly not far from where we are in St. Louis. We'll see the first of those, but what are you thinking about the mobile units?
yeah, do you want to start?
Yeah, so when these mobile units where they're going to be dispensing abortion pills, or maybe even possibly doing surgical abortion one day, what we encourage people to do and what we're already planning to do is to have advocates wherever that those are going to be. We utilize a lot of mobile medical clinics as well and partner with them. There's a couple different groups that have those, ICU Mobile, Save the Storks, and a few others. And so we would love to coordinate having a mobile medical unit near where an abortion pill, mobile unit is going to be as well. I mean, the same would be true if some of these local pharmacies do begin dispensing the abortion pills. putting advocates near those areas as well as having mobile medical units there as well.
Yeah, I think for us, it feels like in post-Roe America, it's like the abortion industry is trying this and trying that and shiny thing over here and squirrel over here. And it's almost like we can't keep up with where else they're going next. But we're, working as a team, as a national team to innovate, to keep up with the abortion industry. The idea is that wherever women go, we want to be there because that's our call from God, is that wherever women are hurting, wherever families are hurting, that's where we need to be his hands and feet.
And that's our time.
Perfect. There you go. Thank you all so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.